Testing 1 2 1 2. It looks like we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week of Space Streams. I am a waste of space, your intrepid host, and it is time, because it is Monday, to continue Williams' wild ride through the 2023 F1 season. Where we last left off, we converted our first points of the year at Azerbaijan, courtesy of Alex Albon. Got himself up to P7 in the sprint, finished P8 on the streets of Baku in the Grand Prix. We are extraordinarily proud of that. Points way earlier in the season than we were expecting. Logan Sargent, in the meantime, bit of a checkered weekend in Baku. During the sprint race, he went for an overzealous overtake on Kevin Magnussen and ended up in the wall at turn 1. So that was a P20 and no points for Logan Sargent, a DNF, really. And then he had to climb all the way from 20th on the grid in the next session in the Grand Prix to try and make anything out of his race, and he went ahead and climbed himself all the way up to P13. So a really nice showing by the Williams boys. I'm very excited that they have been, performing above expectation. Hey, Gareth, good to see you in. Just giving a quick little recap of what we did last time as we get ready to load up our weekend preparation for Williams. And we are ready to go. But if y'all do also remember, we would have had around $8 million to go through, but because of Logan's crash in in the sprint race, we had to go ahead and pay for a lot of emergency manufacturing on some parts that we don't have a lot of. So that's taken care of. The new aerodynamic period has begun, and I believe we're manufacturing everything we need to manufacture. That development will be on for, not this race, it'll be on for our next GP, which I believe is Imola in Italy. San Marino. But yeah, so we've got that researching right now, but if our period has begun for research, that means that before we do anything, we can take a look at our car performance, which is actually pretty dang good right now. Granted, our acceleration, you can't really do much about that until you take some weight off, but we could stand to, I think, take some weight off of the car and to design I think the front wing might be the best option, although I'm not going to say no to a fourth underfloor. As it is, the side pods are coming, so let's see what we can develop for this bad boy right here. But I am doing well. Thank you for asking, Gareth. I hope you are doing all right there as well. Hope you're having a nice start to your week. What do I want to put on this car? I've designed a new front wing. Have I designed any rear wings this year? I completely forgot if I've done that or not, because we need to do a rear wing if we haven't done one. Okay, we've done one rear wing. Okay. So we've done a rear wing and a front wing, so now it's just a matter of deciding what we want to develop in their stead. I think I'd like to do another front wing and rear wing combo, actually. So why don't we, at 6.9, that's 4.6, so 2.3 is a fair spread there, and then 56 is not divisible by 3, but 19 is pretty close. So yeah, put that kind of emphasis on building us a new front wing. That would take a significant amount of weight off, and it doesn't really cost us anything on our max races, it just costs us on our minimum races, which might be a little bit more expensive, but I think the best thing I can do here is take a little bit of... Actually, acceleration is not really impacted all that much if I take weight off right now. I might just have to leave the extra weight. I'll see what I can do with the rear wing. I'm going to leave that extra weight on there for now. We've got 5 available engineers. So let's put 3 of them on this on a normal approach. It'll take me 38 days, which puts the wing on time for Montreal. If I rush it, that's 25 days, and we'll get it on after Monaco. I think, given the cash we have, let's go ahead and rush that front wing on. And then I think we can do rear wing as a secondary little jump here. And actually give this a good number of hours. Right to about 23 and 33 there, because I really want the rear wing to shape up. That's going to be very important, especially for our DRS effectiveness. That's going to matter a lot. And clearly we're heavy, so I need to lighten up the rear wing to get rid of that weight. So I think that's a good setup. And there we can actually shed some weight, because look at that. It actually only takes one race off our top range, and the low range for races is unaffected. So I actually really like that, and it gives us a minuscule, but nevertheless necessary acceleration boost. Now, if I do... Airflow sensitivity doesn't do really anything for us, does it? In fact, this would probably... actually... Really, it's top speed and DRS effectiveness that are getting killed by airflow sensitivity going up. If I were to do it the other way, majority air tolerance is a lot worse and the DRS just stays the same. Okay, so we'll just go balanced on this as well. Don't need to make it too fancy, and we'll put 3 engineers on this bad boy. It's going to take us 36 days. I can deal with that coming in Montreal instead of at Barcelona. We will just progressively make the car better in baby steps through this middle part of the season. Because I think if I spend that much, yeah, I'm pretty much out of money if I do that. And I want to see if I can save 2 million here. First off, we've got our scouts assigned, or nobody's scouting, so we need to do that. I need to put on, because Logan's doing a good job for us, but we do want to make sure we look at other drivers around the sport as well, including a similarly aged but slightly better ranked Felipe Drogovic from Brazil. So we're going to take a look at him. And then as for race engineers, well, I've got good ones, but it never hurts to look for better ones. And in F2, it looks like Amari Larden might actually be that better race engineer. So we will take a look at his stats as well through a scouting process. Last, before we go to the race, I want to take a quick look at my staff facilities. Temporary shutdown due to a sponsor obligation. Okay, so can't do anything there. Not concerned about upgrading scouting or team hub at the moment. Let me look at operations facilities. Tour center still upgrading. Already got a helipad. You know what? I think I'd like to have... My forecast accuracy is relatively good for right now. Honestly, that team attractiveness is going to help me sign better people later in the season, and it's exactly $1.8 million, which is exactly about, which leaves me with 50,000. So we are going to upgrade the hospitality area of the racetrack, and now we got to handle our pit crews schedule, and I think they've been working hard for us, so I think we might be resting them. Fatigue reduction. That's not as good as I would like it. We're still adding in a lot of chances for mistakes and a lot of errors. We might just have to take them off of all training whatsoever and just rest them. But I want to do a little bit of mitigating of pit stop errors. So we'll throw in just a little bit to get their fatigue down, but I actually gotta be careful with this because I gotta reduce. Okay, we'll do that. Just run a balanced pit stop drill for like 3 days in the afternoons. And this is actually going to mitigate... Yeah, there we go. This is exactly what I needed to do. Is keep the range of mistakes down while also significantly dropping the fatigue of my team. Because we run 1 week of pit stop drills. We actually are sparing ourselves quite a bit of fatigue, and we're lowering our chance of mistakes, while the pit stop only gets marginally faster, or slower. Let me take a look. If I do the gym training... You know, I just need to give them a light load this month because of all the races, so if I just do this... Send them to the gym a couple of times. I take off most of the difficulties with the pit stop errors. I lower my chances of mistakes. My time doesn't really get affected all that much, and the car building is not necessarily affected. We're going to do that. We're going to give them a light training schedule. So enjoy your couple of weeks off in May, guys. You've earned them, pit crew. And I think that takes care of everything. Yeah, manufacture the front wings I needed. I do not need to put any extras on. And race prep time. We are ready to make our way over to Miami. Appreciate you all holding with me through the factory. We can easily do that. In fact, I think I can get both drivers up there. I'm going to check my car performance real quick. Yeah, I should actually be relatively fine here. The low-speed corners are going to hurt me, but there are a lot of high-speed sections that are crucial here, so I think I can get both of these guys above P15 on the grid. I don't think I'm going to be upset by those driver targets. And then finish position streak is all set. Boys are locked in. We are locked in. It looks like the fans are locked in as well. And I think, yeah, we got $78,000, so cannot do anything. And I think we are now ready to go to Miami Gardens.
Once again, we touch down in Miami as F1 returns to the Magic City. Miami Gardens is transformed into the Miami International Autodrome, built here especially for the Grand Prix. It's a thrilling street circuit where one wrong move can end in disaster, but for those who can conquer its literal ups and downs, victory is all the sweeter. Miami has long, tight, straight sections that need as much driver confidence and precision as a corner, as well as 3 hard braking zones. The chicane through turns 14 to 15 is particularly likely to catch drivers out and throw them into a wall. In the last round, Max Verstappen flew to victory, the Dutchman proving that he can be absolutely unstoppable.
That's the front of the field. We don't care about the front runners. It's all about grinding our way through the midfield this year. All right, we have officially touched down in Miami, and that is the first true curveball of race strategy this entire year, because looky here, on Sunday, at some point during the race, we are going to experience moderate rain, which means we're probably going to need to use the intermediate tires and develop race pace in the rain. So this is not going to be an easy race here in Miami this weekend. That's a very, very interesting curveball for us. But let's put on our stolen setups, courtesy of yakbot.com, because they have had very good luck giving me decent setups, although Miami can be a little hard to figure out exactly what you need here. So there will be probably a lot of finagling with driver setups this weekend. Not exactly easy to figure out this course. We're going to set you on 18 laps because that's my standard for a long course. Get a good... Oh yeah, and actually, now I'm going to start doing my other trick, which is that we're a little far into the season. I want to save these good parts for the race. So I'm going to put, for practice, I'm going to put the old engine parts on Alex and Logan's cars. Because even if they get broken, or if they're already broken, in Logan's case, because I think we are going to put broken parts on his car. Yep. Bad engine. It's damaged. I don't care. It's a practice session. It's not about pace. Put the damaged DRS on his car. And put a... I can't put the damaged gearbox there on this car, but I can put this damaged gearbox on. So I can spare those parts for the race so that we're actually in better shape when we do qualifying to be using fresher parts than the other teams. And in the back of the field, you need every little cheeky advantage you can get like that. So we are not above gaming the system to give ourselves a nice little jump ahead in the Miami Grand Prix, especially if they're going to be rainy conditions out here during the week. But we can't not, of course, forge ahead anymore. We did a lot of work in the factory. We did a lot of work to get set up. So now, let's send them out and let's see how we did on these generic setups. Get some nice good laps in on Miami. As always, we'll save the tour of the track for Q1 because it's way more fun watching these guys drive around a track in anger than it is watching them do practice laps. So we will just send them on their merry way and see how close we can get to 100% on those setups to start. But how is everybody out there? How are you, Garrus? Have you, I said hello while I was in the middle of a billion different things, but I hope you're having a nice day. I spent most of my day asleep because my client spent most of her day asleep. And it's just the way I like it. Having a chill day, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's a nice, good, quiet day here around the house as well. I got nothing to complain about. See how the boys will reward my patience here. I think I'm going to manifest some good setups today. I believe they will run this admirably and they will do a good job being actual setups. About to get our first notes from Alex pretty soon. What does he have to say about the car? Ooh! Ooh, that's extremely bad.
Yeah, it's fine. Copy that.
Ideally, you want to see at very least a great when they give you the feedback. Setup feedback good means we really screwed that one up. And Logan? Yeah, Logan at least we've got something to work with that is not horrible. But we got to get Alex and we got to get Logan in immediately to tweak those setups. Because Alex, there's clearly something very wrong with your car. Ooh! Yow! Yeah, no, I basically didn't nail anything with him. So we're going to take in the anti-roll, I think is the best thing to do here. And we're also going to need to go, yeah, I think down with the wing a little bit. Boy, this is tough to figure out right now. That's definitely not it. So let's try to go up to like 25 here. I'm properly flummoxed on his setup. I think I'm going to have to get Alex's setup wrong, worse, before I get it right. Because at 75%, like, I have no idea what I need to be doing with him. We'll give that our best shot. Meanwhile, Logan's not much better. We're going to try lowering the traction on both of them. I think is the best idea. And lowering that wing setup also appears to be a pretty pivotal part of this. Am I doing enough on either of them? If I adjust the rear wing at all, it falls out of the range. So 30.5 feels like it's got to be the right rear wing, but we might be coming back to that. Alright, I gotta send him out kind of blind here. This is a little intimidating. I usually don't get setups that poor when I start doing my tests. So thank God we don't have a sprint race, so I don't have to save scum again, and we can actually just try to get this in through practices. But this could be a little iffy. This is gonna be an unideal weekend for setups, I think. Alex, you out first. You have the most problems. Logan, you out in that pocket. Alright. Take two. So I guess we really just have not figured this course out. Like, we know lap times are going to be bad. Lap times we're not concerned about here. But the setups being bad, that's a frustration. This stint will at least get them the track knowledge that I want them to have by the end of the session. But we're gonna have to bring them in again to double check things before the end of the session and do new setups before we go to Q2 or P2. Bit of a shaky start for Team Space here in Miami. It's technically, well, it's not Williams' home race because Williams is a British team, but it's Logan Sargent's home race as an American, and it's our home race as the sponsor of this year's team, so I would hope to see a bit of a better performance in our home race. And Albon comes out with a It's still just good.
It's very neutral.
It's still just good. Could have gotten worse, for all I know. And Logan, he's still a great. All right, time to come in,
Quite
boys.
happy at the moment. Okay.
All right, take two was no more successful than the first. Let's see. I think. Okay, so I actually just genuinely made his bad, but now at least it's given me the range for where I need to be. So traction stays up. No, traction stays down. Maybe front wing goes up. No. Oh, this is... I'm properly flummoxed here. There? You know what? I think it could be that. I think it might be all the way at 345.0 here. Maybe a little 5 to tuck that in towards that number. This could be it. This is the closest setup I've hit, I think. I can't run it until P2. Oh, no, don't get rid of that. I want to save the setup. But I think that is going to be the right setup for Alex. I think that's the best way to do it. And Logan? Did you get any better than 82? Nope. Actually, again, it's a worse setup, so... Pull his in a little bit more and get it into the range there. Up that front wing slightly. That's about the best I can do at the moment, unless there's anti-roll going... Nope, I can't really mess with anti-roll to do anything about that. Yeah, no, that doesn't work either. It's got to be there. That's got to be it for Logan's car. We'll get those new setups on, and we will try them in P2. But not a great practice session for us, it must be said. I would have wanted those setups to be far closer, and they just got further away. No time to send them out until next session. So we'll have to try again. We persist. We have put a lot of good, complex engineering onto this car to make it competitive on this grid. Now we got to make the best of it. Standard runs. Let's go. All right. All right, boys, I want to hear good news on these new attempted setups. I want to see the words great or optimal. Feels like even on bad equipment, our times are better. Let's get optimum, baby. I believe, boys. Come on. patiently await a positive result here. Come on, boys. Albon, I know you're going to tell me that I gave you the perfect setup and that you're absolutely happy for the rest of the weekend, right? Isn't that right, Alex? Wait for it. It's just great, but we'll take great. It's better than good.
This is pretty good. Yeah, copy that.
I mean, it's still frustrating, but it's better. And now Logan. Just great.
Okay with the car.
All right, bring him in.
Copy. Copy.
It's progress. Now traction has gotten worse, so we do have to drop that. Could it really be that simple of a solution, dropping the wing all the way to 7? I think that might be the setup, y'all. I think if the only things we needed to do were to shift these over towards the other end of the spectrum to make them go from good to great or great to optimal, we might have just nailed it. Let's see what we need to do for Logan. Same situation. We just gotta futz with the traction. Futz with the rear wing ever so slightly. And that's actually optimal right there already. I didn't even notice that at first. So yeah, I think we cracked the code for Miami, guys. I think we might actually have optimal setups now. It took us longer than usual, but I think we finally got them. Go us. And now, let's see if I was right. As we just casually block the Ferrari on their lap. You can see the differences in car construction and car build here by the way that that gap between Sainz and Sargent gets a little bit larger and it keeps getting smaller between Albon. You just see visually how much better the Ferrari is in terms of pace. And yes, we are on worse engine parts for practice, but still, he's already in the stint. He started right behind Sargent, and now he's right behind Albon. That's a matter of laps while he's coasting. In general, I'm thinking that this is right around the range we're looking for. I think the goal for the weekend is probably a sneaky point. I think unlike Baku, where, you know, yes, there are some great straight line sections in here where we can keep our speed and defend. I think this is really our goal, is P10 right here. Get a cheeky point off of somebody. Maybe one of the front runners has an accident, gives us a little extra place for free. But we're going to have to be very patient this weekend. This is a race that's going to come to us and not vice versa. We're not going to take it to the race. And that is an optimal setup. Let's go.
Yeah, car was actually very good. Yeah,
That's fantastic news, Alex. Logan, I need the same news from you. And you're not going to tell me. Fantastic. I have to wait for you to get into the garage to see if that was good. But Albon is at 97%. Which means can I fuss with this just a little bit? No, I can't. Okay. We're going to stick him on 97% and be comfortable with that for the weekend. And meanwhile, Logan... Yeah. What we're finding out is that the front wing is a little bit harder for us to crack, I think. There is an optimal 100% setup in here, but I think based off the fine margins we have for everything else, we can be happy with 97% optimal, and we can make our way through our weekend with that being the setup on the car. we'll probably end up going in basically with 99 to 100% confidence to the weekend anyway. And a 99% confident driver is a confident driver. It just is. But the good news is we can basically just send him out there for a couple of easy laps and forget about him. So I say we go ahead and do that. Just let it run, because now we are moving. We are looking ahead to qualifying. So, reminder to myself: replace the terrible worn engine parts, otherwise we'll be in real trouble. But all things considered, a good start, a better start to the weekend than it seemed like it would be in P1. Whew, and it is about to get serious, y'all. Yep, no, I'm aware, Logan. We gave you damaged parts, buddy. You don't need to tell me over the radio. Whole point of sending you out in practice on these is so we don't wear out the race parts.
We've got an issue.
Yep, no worries. We know. We know, Alex. Your parts for practice are supposed to be terrible, boys. No matter, we're going to send you out for another lap. All right, let's finish up practice. Last laps, boys, make them count. Yep, we'll know the track 100% by the end of these runs, and then we can just let P3 run out of its own accord. Okay, so Sargent will be much quicker in qualifying because we know that the bad engine's coming off. Albon will probably... Albon's got an outside shot at a top 10 here and a Q3 appearance. Because if he's only a tenth of a second behind Tsunoda on worn engine parts, then that's very good news for us. In fact, he might have an outside shot of challenging that time range where Ocon, Leclerc, and Hamilton are. I don't think we'll challenge them in the race, but he can get up into the... You can get those times for qualifying. Alex has been having an out-of-his-mind season so far. So I have to think that that's going to be possible for him. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, 98% preparation for the weekend. I will take it. In fact, I will use the last bit of practice to get the better engine parts in both of their cars. Oh, no, I can't do that. I can just do it with gearboxes. Oh, I might as well replace the gearboxes. Car parts. Let's put in the better gearbox. And you work on that. And then let's put in the better gearbox. And now they can just build the car to their heart's content while we just wait. So yeah, about where I expected to be with worn engine parts in a practice session. Two, one. And there we go, we're done. All right. The preliminaries have sorted themselves out, and now it is time to go qualifying with good confidence on both of my drivers. Let's see what we can accomplish here.
We're moving on now to the all-important qualifying session.
The Miami International Autodrome has some lovely long straights, but a driver still needs to have total trust in their car setup to get a fast qualifying lap. Turns 14 and 15 in particular are the ones that catch the drivers out in qualifying.
Karun, how do you think Logan Sargent's going to be feeling at the moment?
They weren't as quick as I expected them to be in practice. They'll want to land better lap times than that today to earn.
Karun, we had the sandbags on. Do not judge Logan by his time in qualifying, or in practice. Judge him by his time in qualifying. Let's go. All right. First and most importantly, take off the scrubbed parts. C'est parfait. Yeah, come on, Logan. You knew I wasn't going to leave you out there with these terrible engine parts on. I think I got more sense than that. Alrighty. 95, 695, 90, 91, 87. Feeling good about that. Make sure I didn't just overwrite a different file. Okay, I didn't. Good. Let's go qualifying. See how we do here around the streets of Miami Gardens. Of course, we'll wait. I don't ever want to be the first out here, although there is good rubber on the track at the moment, it must be said. Looking for a little sled to follow, as always. A little lead blocker.
That's green now.
And that is a heck of a lead blocker if the Red Bulls and the Astons are coming out. So, Logan, we are going to send you out now. Ahead of Max Verstappen. And then after, I believe that's Charles Leclerc, we will send Alex Albon. So let's quickly get them to the end of the lap. Alright. And it is now time to go on board with Logan Sargent to give you guys a tour of the Miami GP track. So we are just about here. We're here on the back straight right now, just about to get started on our lap. When he comes across the corner of that blue building, the acceleration hits, and we are headed into the last two turns of the circuit. So you need to have a good exit here at the bottom of this initial straight because it is a weird curved straight. Needs a lot of electricity, a lot of battery to get to the starting line, which is right here. So we are now on our first lap. This is the only hard braking zone of Sector 1 and consequently the only really passing opportunity because now you are locked into the roller coaster, a rollicking left-right section. It's hard to stay alongside here, it's hard to fight here, and you are fully in the roller coaster for Section 1, putting together good apexes on these turns, and bringing it through into a slow braking zone where you need a good exit here on the apex because you are now on the curving, but flat-out back straight. This is a corner right here, you're still flat out, and right there is where you hit the DRS detection point, and you are taking off with an open wing, right here to another great zone for a pass on track, this hard braking zone leading into the technical back half of Sector 2. Now this is a slow, single file section where you need to be on your braking, on your lines, through a slow, deliberate section, because it is very easy to hit a wall, very easy to lose time here in a slow section, but then you're done with all the technicality, and it is straight on down that back straight one more time, headed for that last hairpin at the bottom. Remember, you gotta have a good brake, good apex, and power off of that apex with everything you've got because it is a straight shot off this hairpin right here. As you see, Logan clips the apex. Little slow getting off that corner, though. He needed to put a little bit more energy in, but you rocket off of that using battery and acceleration, and across the line, Logan will finish with a 134.
So you go in.
Albon, meanwhile, will come across and has come across with a 129.5. So, yeah, we're going to need some more work from Logan Sargent on that. Not a great lap to start off his qualifying. A very good lap, though, for Alexander Albon. Very impressed by that. And as you can see, Sargent, yeah, here lower than he needs to be. Down with guys like Bottas and De Vries, who he is quicker than. So we're going to need to see a marked improvement from the American rookie in the second set of runs here in Q1 if he is to make it on to the final session, or to the second session. Final session's a pipe dream for us at this moment. But they will get fresh rubber to do these runs. Now it's just a waiting game, figuring out a good opportunity to get out on track as late as possible in the session to have a nice final run. We'll probably go with about 3 minutes left. And with just about 3 minutes left, it is time for us to go out. We're going to send Logan first. And then we're going to send Albon after him. And now, let's go down on track to see what that looks like for Alex. He's a bit close. So what I am going to do is something I almost never do, is I may actually release Logan Sargent early on his qualifying lap once they get through Sector 2. Because we're behind the Haas car right now, and they're going to take off ahead of us. But Alex is a little too close. He might get slowed down on his second run, which I do not want. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait, and just about 1 or 2 seconds before he's supposed to go, 3, 2, 1, I am going to send him now. So attack, attack, deploy.
Happy to lean more on the tires.
And that will give Albon a little extra space on this lap.
Go ahead.
And consequently, it brings Logan a little bit closer in to the Haas car there, which I do want for the later in the lap. But as it stands, Logan's losing, I think, most of his time in that last corner. He goes in very, very uncertain of himself. He goes in really holding onto that brake, and even after he's got his nose through the apex, he's still braking. So I think Logan is kind of doing himself a disservice here. But the question is, will he be faster through Sector 1? Waiting on that green. It's yellow. He's slower. Logan Sargent is having a nightmare here in qualifying. And Alex has caught back up to him. So Alex is getting slowed down by Sargent's pace. And they're both kind of harming each other in this session, it must be said. Because Logan Sargent is not performing today. This is not great, Logan. I gotta be real. Not only has he failed to have a better lap, he has actively held up Alex on his hot lap and cost him pace. Granted, he is safe for Q2. I have high faith, but Sargent has let us down here in a massive way. Comes across the line with a 138, and that's going to be enough to take him straight out of qualifying. It is a Q1 exit at his home Grand Prix for Logan Sargent, and it is adversity in the Grand Prix if he is going to climb back up to where we know he can finish. Albon, a bit more representative of this car's pace, being up in P11. You got to think he can crack that P10 with a little bit better luck. But as it stands, Logan Sargent not performing to the best of his abilities here. And he will start P19 on the grid. It's better than Azerbaijan, but not by much. Now, It does mean I will have a whole assortment of tires for Logan to choose from. But it does mean I'm not going to have any help here for Alex in Q2. He's going to have to do it on his own, by his lonesome. And we will wait on the used tires. Now, that Haas car is going to go out early. I think we better follow suit with Albon. All right, Alex, you've got nobody blocking you. You've got no excuses now. You're on used rubber. Let's see a Q3 worthy time, my guy. I believe in you. I believe in your abilities.
Should be clear. And then it'll be go push before the last corner.
The foundation is here, Garrus. We can get Alex into Q3. I believe. It's not the best track for us. You know, one of our big holes as a team right now that we're working on we're working on developments for is that we are not all that great in low-speed corners. So we pass a little bit of traffic here on our lap. The problem is that we are very good in high-speed sections, but when it comes to low speed, we have a lot of trouble accelerating off, we have a lot of trouble getting through, and that is costing us pace here in Miami. We also might need to, really rely on a second lap because that Mercedes might have cost us a little pace there. We'll see. But yeah, our kryptonite right now as a car, it is these kind of sections right here. This slow, deliberate, you have to be able to accelerate up quickly, get to a new corner quickly, and be very technical with it. This is where we struggle. Whereas this is our bread and butter. High top speed, not great acceleration, but we can take off quicker than most cars in the field. Miami is just a different animal and a far more difficult one for us to conquer. But Alex has given it a decent shot here. And we will see what he's going to come across the line with. It's looking like it's going to be a 1 minute 29, barely in the 1 minute 29s, but a kind of a slightly blocked but not terrible start for the Williams team. Considering what this car can perform at, I'm fighting the Haas and the Alpine cars today, I think, is really where my targets are. We flew extraordinarily high in Baku, but I think we're falling a little bit further back down to earth today. Nevertheless, you know how it is. We never say never. We never give up with this team. We climb up, we fight in every race for every position we get, because that is the team space way. Now, wait for Gasly to come around, and now we can send out Albon. So Alex is... Yep, okay, Alex is not going to have traffic issues, I do not believe. And it is time to see whether or not he can climb his way up to Q3. Teal building passes us, and then we go. We're off.
Feel like a little bit of traffic at the end of that. And then go push.
It looks like the real issues with traffic are all the way up here as the Red Bull is getting held up. We have no such worries. We are far enough behind this gaggle in order to not be concerned about running into anybody as traffic by the end of our lap. Now, Albon is climbing through the roller coaster. We need tight apexes and we need to preserve as much speed as possible with our weak acceleration. Alex has wound his way through, he straightens out, and he is on the accelerator in a good amount of time. This looks like it will be quicker, I believe. It's actually slower. It's actually slower through Sector 1. More rubber grip on this track, and yet we are slower. Be that as it may, I would still like to see him climb up above Gasly and Hülkenberg. A P11 would be a great spot to start on. And Alex is in fact quicker through Sector 2. So that main straight did pay, or that back straight rather, did pay dividends. The second back straight is coming through here. We need to hope and pray that Alex has gained enough here to climb above the Haas of Hulkenberg, the Alpine of Gasly, and maybe, just maybe, challenge Kevin Magnussen here for P10. It's looking like it could be P11, P12 here. Where will Alex finish? Did he get a quicker Sector 3? It is not quicker, and he will not improve.
Okay, so P13.
It'll be P13 on track, and it'll be P13 once qualifying finishes. So, basically, we've fallen 5 back from Baku on both accounts, because Alex was a P8 in the Grand Prix, and Sargent would have been a P13 because of his sprint where he was during the sprint. So we just dropped back a little bit this week on qualifying. It's okay. We knew this was probably going to be a weaker track for us. You know, we've got our hopes, we've got our high hopes for what the race is going to show for us, and we're going to look and see what that rain is going to do for this race, because rain makes everything unpredictable.
The Miami Grand Prix arrived onto the calendar in 20...
Might be able to sneak somebody into an early pit stop, maybe gain some time on better tires than somebody. You never know with a rainy race.
Chances around the street circuit and hope those chances turn into victory. And the weather today is sunny. These are ideal conditions for the drivers.
Sunny.
The Autodrome is ready for some serious action today here at the Miami Grand Prix.
Now the big question is, when is the rain coming? It is forecast. And it looks like by lap 16 or 17, rain is going to be coming down. Which actually accords very nicely with the two-stop strategy. In fact, I could even extend this by a lap. I think that's what we want to do. I think we want to burn the soft tires at the start of this race for everything that they are worth. Wait until track conditions get iffy, and then switch on to the intermediate tires and ride out the track for as long as we can. I think that's going to be what we do. Strategy B plus 1 lap. Let me actually look at the race reports here. Or no, that's not what I want to look for. It's a specific graph I want to see. No, it's not here. I guess I don't have it in this view. That's frustrating. There's usually a view that can tell you when they think the track grip is going to drop off, which I like having. Alright, we've got a good little adjustment there on our race time. It's all a matter of, I think we're just going to end up running soft compound for most of the race, and then we get onto the intermediates when we need to get on them. I think that's going to be the strategy. Because I think that, yeah, climbing from P13 and P19 means that we just need to be very smart with the rain period and on the best tire of anybody around us. So we're going to do it the only way we know how, which is full bore. It might not be the best race result. It might not be everything that we got from Baku and that we love from Baku, but we are going to fight today, and we're going to fight for everything we've got. It's a race with some rainfall. It's a race in a tropical biome. It's unpredictable. I don't know how much water will end up on the track. Miami is notorious in real life for being very bad with standing water on track, so we could have a pretty wet race in store for us. But before we can get there, I need a break to make sure that my voice is ready, to make sure y'all are ready, to make sure Williams is ready, and we are about to go racing around Miami when we come back. But for right now, the team is going to get itself ready, and then when we come back from intermission in about 5 minutes, it will be time to go racing. So stay tuned. The Miami GP is coming up next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. I'm just going to do one quick thing. I am going to cheat a slight bit and use my asthma inhaler to clear my throat a split second. Because this is the brilliant stream content that you all tune in for, I know. It's not the racing, it's me using medicine. Live. But with that taken care of, lungs are clear, the vocal cords are happy, and we are being very, very, very careful about when we do our rain dance. We wanted to start hitting that wet part of the track, that damp kind of circuit, right as we're coming around towards the pit lane, so that we can minimize our loss of time and maximize how much time all of our rivals lose. Get on the wet tires and get ahead in this race. But until then, we are going to burn through the best compound of tire as quickly and as adamantly as we can to move Alex and Logan ahead in this race. The goal is to see if we can climb into the points from P13 and P19. All that remains is for us to go racing. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Space starts its Miami Grand Prix now.
57 laps await our competitors here in Miami, so may the best driver win. Here's a determined Sainz lining up on the grid.
Yeah, it's a P5 start. The podium's in sight, but there's a lot standing in their way.
But just what will
And while it
happen
looks
here,
like it will be an
your
interesting
guess
fight
is as
between
good as
Ferrari
mine.
and Red Bull for the win of this race, that is not our concern. Our concern is moving up the field right now. You can just see us behind the crest.
And it's lights out.
And we are off, and we are racing, ladies and gentlemen. As we turn on the ERS assist, we move camera over here to see Albon start. Albon has held serve thus far in P13. He's got Nick DeVries on his outside. DeVries is on a worse tire. He is not going to be able to fight with Albon through those corners. Now, Sargent, he is sitting behind the fight between Oscar Piastri and Valtteri Bottas. He will try to stick with them. Meanwhile, a fight taking place here between Pierre Gasly and Nico Hülkenberg is allowing Albon to stick with and maybe even pull alongside Nico Hülkenberg. He's got the inside, but he cannot make the most of that advantage as we start out here down the back straight. This curving section into the technical bits of the track. Now, Albon, he could be close enough. He might be worth looking for clean air, but he is going to hold single file here, going to wait for the DRS zone and hold with that Haas pace through this sector while everyone is bunched up to make sure he stays into DRS. As you can see now, it is a glorified traffic jam here as there is a crash. There is a crash here ahead of Logan Sargent as Bottas and Piastri come together. Multiple cars have crashed. There is a yellow flag, no safety car, but it looks like Valtteri Bottas is going to fall far down in this race, and Logan Sargent is going to pick up an easy P18 here. Or wait a minute, no, excuse me. Both cars continue going. It's Piastri who got the worst of that endeavor, and while they're all slowed down, Piastri is losing pace, hand over fist. Albon sticking behind Hülkenberg like glue. He is waiting for DRS to make his most aggressive moves in this race moving forward. And the incident involves both drivers and no penalties will be given, but Logan Sargent now is here behind a slowed Piastri. He should be able to get to P18, but this separation from the field is one of the worst roles he could have been dealt early in this race. And now you see the absolute pain, the struggle of getting by Oscar Piastri is going to mean that Logan Sargent is going to need to find clear air. He is going to need to be risky about how he moves past this man, and he's going to need to really put his nose in there to get ahead of the McLaren, who, it must be said, is drastically holding back the field right now. Meanwhile, Albon has got great separation from Nick DeVries. He is looking ahead rather than behind in his race. Logan Sargent looking for a pocket of air here. He's looking to stick his nose somewhere where he can get around the McLaren, but Oscar Piastri will hold. Meanwhile, I have just gotten a follow, and that follow is from Tattered Desk. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate you wherever you are. I also had a follow in between streams from a Bobo2323. Appreciate you, my new followers. And unfortunately, we're going to have to delete that message because it is not the type of service I am looking for or appreciate solicitations for. Now, we continue on in the race as Oscar is going to desperately try to hold back Logan Sargent here. Alex Albon has held on to DRS admirably as he continues on here, as the DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap. Now, a big kick here from Hulkenberg. He's trying with everything in his... He's trying to give his all here to get away, but he will not be successful in holding with Gasly here. He is not going to be able to force Albon out of his DRS. Albon waiting for the opportunity to turn his tires down, to have that extra push from the battery and from the open wing so that he does not have to burn through this rubber any more aggressively than he already has in this race. Now, we are in the DRS range. Alex can rest his tires. Meanwhile, going back to Logan's... meanwhile, Alex, he is going to look potentially aggressively here for an overtaking opportunity. He is quicker than Nico Hulkenberg here down this straight. He is going to drive in clear air. He has got the inside. He is going to seal the pass. Will Albon get through? He is neck and neck here with Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg trying to stay with. Hulkenberg forces his way on the inside. Albon is still alongside. Nico Hulkenberg has forced his way back past, but Albon is in the corner with him. They're going to go through the chicane neck and neck. Alex is still behind, but he forces his tires through. Yet again, he is going to take a nice leap off the battery. He is sticking side by side. He has the DRS. Nico Hulkenberg does not have the DRS. He's not going to be able to hold with Alex Albon. Albon is in the corner. Albon has officially pulled his way up into P12. What a magnificent pass. Logan Sargent, meanwhile, still finds himself stuck here behind Oscar Piastri. In fact, he is going to have to rest his tires because he is going to need to save them for an actual passing opportunity. Now, P10 is in sight for Albon. He is stuck behind Magnussen and Gasly in this train, but he will be pulled forward in this race now. He will have chances to save his tires and come into a window where he can challenge for that final point, but he will need to be dogged on using up a little bit of excess fuel in this section, praying for the rain to come to help him with the fuel save later in the race. Now it continues. Hulkenberg is behind, but it is a glorified DRS train here. Everyone will open the wing as they head down the straight. There is no danger for Albon. There is no danger for Magnussen. It must be said ahead. Meanwhile, Logan Sargent here, he is going to be on a DRS train as well, as Bottas is holding behind Piastri. Logan Sargent held up horribly in this race, and it looks like his prospects for moving up are fading fast. Now, speaking of fading fast, Nico Hulkenberg tries to push through the slow section to get away from the Williams, using up the tires, abusing his pace, abusing his battery to try and get rid of the DRS gap, but it will be unsuccessful here. Or at least it better have been unsuccessful. I was within 1 second. And it is indeed successful. Albon is given the DRS even though the game tried to screw us over. Now, pulling into the corner here, he's going to come off the corner a little bit less well than the Haas and Gasly in front of him in the Alpine. Will this require any extra push from Alex Albon? It may indeed, as he has now fallen off of the DRS of P11 ahead. He is going to have to burn through this tire again to make sure he can climb. Tense moments here in Sector 1 as Alex tries to close that gap to within DRS range. He's having to use extra tire here, burning through the compound, waiting for that rain period, but also being a little bit irresponsible in his tire usage. He has managed to hold on to the DRS. He will be able to cool tires now through the second part of this lap. Hulkenberg, meanwhile, has fallen back miserably at this moment in time. Now, Logan Sargent, he is going to have to try and continue to work here, but nothing doing at the moment. Traffic jam behind here as Gasly has slowed. Looks like Hulkenberg will not, in fact, be getting within 1 second of Alex Albon. Oh, wait, never mind. He has, in fact, clawed back into this DRS train. They will accelerate into the back straight. They will hold form here. Will Magnussen challenge Gasly ahead? Both cars pulling Albon further and further forward in this race as the situation continues to develop. We continue to watch the skies for what we hear is oncoming weather. And Alex Albon briefly phases through the back of Kevin Magnussen. No wreck registered. We are very lucky it is a computer game and not real life in this situation. Now, Albon accelerates. He will the DRS. Hulkenberg will not. Hulkenberg has become separate from this fight. Logan Sargent, meanwhile, he is also still stuck in a DRS train. A miserable, miserable experience for the American here at his home race. He will have to wait for his opportunity to come. Meanwhile, Alex Albon, tires still screaming, but this time he has held on to DRS far better than he did the last lap. He did not need to strain himself. He is able to start bringing a little bit of pace and a little bit of temperature back into those tires in a way that is conducive to continuing to pull himself forward in this race. Alex Albon can see that points tantalizingly close. There are still 51 laps to go, but he is tantalizingly close to bringing yet another point home for Williams Racing and preserving that P6 in the championship. Now through the technical section, it looks like Magnussen has fallen off of the Alpine. Magnussen has fallen off of Gasly fairly drastically in that sector, and suddenly the real threat for Kevin Magnussen is not to challenge Gasly ahead, but it is Alex Albon behind. Now, Albon, he is gaining, he is looking, he could look for clear air here. He's going to have the slightest of windows to do so. He pulls out. Will he be able to pull alongside? No! He is stopped there by K-Mag, and he actually gets such a bad entrance into that turn that he will need to burn tires here to make sure he stays with K-Mag going into Sector 1.
Let's close this gap.
And once again, Albon right on that rear wing of Kevin Magnussen, but not able to get through. Logan Sargent kind of damned back here as he is stuck on the rear wing of Oscar Piastri. He will need to start saving fuel, as will Alex Albon. They have burned what they can to get ahead in this race and to maximize their ability to stretch their stints. But now you move into the hard work of stint number 1 here on this soft tire. How long will it be until it begins raining here in Miami? How long until they reach that period? Will they reach that period before the soft tire dies? Will they be able to go straight onto the intermediate tire? Or is there another twist yet to come here? Meanwhile, Albon, he's got the range. He looks to the outside, but it will not be this lap for Alexander Albon. Meanwhile, Logan Sargent continuing to not make any progress, being pulled through by the speed of a DRS train. Nothing more frustrating in this sport. Now, Magnussen, he tries to hold Albon behind. Albon is not being threatening on his pace or his battery, but he is trying to make sure he pulls himself along here with that Haas pace as he continues to phase the soft tire back in. He is gaining. He is gaining. It is not going to be worth getting out into the clear air here, as he should just follow Magnussen through on the apex. Now, they both get good exits. Albon is behind. Albon could threaten here if he can get a good push. He is going to have the DRS. Can he pull alongside? He does. He looks, and he will get a wheel in there. He has gotten a wheel. He is alongside Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen has the inside of this corner. Albon has the inside of the next, and he is on the superior soft tire. They are neck and neck going into the roller coaster. Kevin Magnussen continues to keep his tire in there, and he will get ahead as Albon has to relent off of that corner, but he has significantly hampered Magnussen's pace to Gasly. He has left Magnussen all alone in this race in defense, and now he can push forward and give a serious challenge here on the back straight, given his DRS and given the superior speed when compared to the Haas. He is gaining. The DRS is open. He is going to pull out in clean air now. He sees the inside of the Haas car. He is pulled along, and now he will once again try to make the pass stick. But Magnussen yet again holds that inside line, holds firm, and is successful in defending here. Albon will have to be more aggressive if he wants to get that done. He will continue to aggress here. Once again off the back straight, but Albon is in fact closer this time. He is shortening up that gap. He has got the DRS. Magnussen defends to the inside. Albon is going to look for the clear air. He moves to the outside. and he has stuck his nose in. They're going to be neck and neck, side by side. Albon will have the DRS at the line. They are through. They are neck and neck. Alex is going to open the wing, and it is goodbye, Mr. Magnussen. Alex Albon has moved into P11 in this race. What a sensational series of corners by the Thai driver, and Albon has moved ahead. Meanwhile, Logan Sargent has found a way past Oscar Piastri's failing car, and it is very late in the race for him to do so, but he has finally made the move stick. 2 places for Williams on the previous lap. Now, the struggle is Magnussen is going to have DRS in the back straight. He is going to be able to threaten. Albon is going to have to burn through the tires here to defend. Magnussen looking to the inside. Albon holds that line. Magnussen stretches to the outside. He's going to have the DRS. It's going to be a fairly easy pass at the end of the day. Albon is going to go side by side. He has to get the temperature back into those tires. And Magnussen is going to use that inside line to poke his nose slightly ahead. And we could be witnessing a war here as Albon has stayed with it. Despite the fact that he is putting temperature into the tire, he has managed to hold in next. He is managing to stay abreast of Kevin Magnussen. They are neck and neck going onto the back straight. Albon aggresses into the tires. Albon looks for the clean air. He is alongside. They are basically going the same speed. The DRS is open, and Kevin Magnussen can say absolutely nothing to Alexander Albon here with the superior pace of the DRS, but they will stay alongside one another. Magnussen, a little foolishly, it must be said, sticks his nose in there. He's going to try and get ahead of Albon before the DRS section, which would make it so that Albon does not have the DRS. He's worked it out, but Magnussen cannot find a way past here. He is locked behind, and he will leave the leading position, and P11, that is, to Alexander Albon. Just some tense moments here as the sun has finally started to disappear behind some clouds. In 1 minute, we are anticipated to have fully clouded over weather, and that rain period is tantalizingly close. I'm actually going to need to look at my strategy here because it looks like the rain period is coming later than I anticipated. Can we push to lap 20? We can, and I think we must. Albon has received the orders to go +2 on his tire stint. So has Logan Sargent. That means that they are not going to have a whole lot of extra fight in this tire anymore. Suddenly, it has become a preservation stint for both Williams drivers. Tense moments here. Now, Albon holds on through that first zone. Magnussen starting to wait on his tires as well. Everyone preserving a little bit as uncertainty about the weather begins to creep into the field. Magnussen also having trouble sticking with Albon, it must be said, through those tighter corners. It is going to be a attempt to leap forward here. He's going to have to burn battery to stick with Alexander Albon, but it appears that the Williams has superior pace here to the Haas and will be able to continue to move forward unabated. Magnussen nowhere near enough to make a serious move onto Albon, either into the final corners here or the turn 1 at the end of this first DRS straight. It is all Albon here in P11, and he is beginning to stretch his legs a little bit. The Haas will hold with the Williams, but how long can Kevin Magnussen really afford to stay in the dirty air, to introduce that extra heat into his tires, to introduce that extra wear onto that set of mediums? It is only so much he can do before he falls back into the clutches of his teammate Nico Hülkenberg. Meanwhile, Piastri has fallen away from Logan Sargent dramatically. Logan locking in that P18, but he wants more. He sees the P16 ahead of Nick de Vries, and it is a tantalizing prospect for the American. But he will have to get through a DRS train in order to take it. Now, Magnussen, he's getting aggressive. He looks for the outside here, but Albon will have him blocked off through the technical part of Sector 2. Must be said, Alexander Albon showing once again that while he may not be the world's best qualifier, he is absolutely stunning when he gets into his race pace. Magnussen holding a little bit closer to the Williams now, as get the sense that he's burning through battery to try and challenge Alexander Albon on this lap. Alex will go into the very last of the aggression he will have on this tire to ensure that he stays ahead, but it will be unnecessary. Kevin Magnussen unable to threaten the Williams for yet another lap, and for yet another lap, he sticks in that hot air. Meanwhile, behind, Logan Sargent unable to catch up with Bottas as they are DRS trained behind De Vries's AlphaTauri, but Bottas might actually fall off of the DRS here, and suddenly an opportunity has presented itself to Logan Sargent to chance claw himself forward in this race. Bottas is flagging, Logan is not, and all of a sudden Logan sees P17 in his sights. Meanwhile, back here, Magnussen still sticking to Alexander Albon like glue. Even closer, it must be said, on this lap than the previous one. He's making a move for it. The best thing that Alex can do is attack on the tires and try to do what he can to block the Haas. But Kevin Magnussen is going to find that DRS pace, and the pass will likely be easy here, but Albon cuts him off and slows down his momentum. A genius defense here by Alexander Albon on that back straight. Does incredibly well to hold on here to P11. Meanwhile, the wet weather is fast disappearing off of the radar screens. Magnussen pushing on his battery. Albon pushes him to the outside. Magnussen is looking for an outside pass, but he does not know if he has the space. He is not going to use any bravery here to go for the gap. He is not going to put the tire alongside Alexander Albon. Meanwhile, Sargent here, he will take the risk. He will pull out. He is going to go and try to get alongside Bottas. Can't quite do it on this occasion. Now Magnussen, he is continuing to be stuck here behind Alex Albon. A brilliant defense by the Williams. And it must be said, Magnussen used up a lot of battery and a lot of pace on that previous lap. He may not have a lot to push with here, as you see, already falling further behind the Williams than he had previously. Running a natural pace and unable to truly stick with the Williams without the aid of DRS. He is coming quickly towards the rear end of Alexander Albon, but there is not enough space here for Kevin Magnussen to threaten to put his nose in. The further along we go, the quicker that opportunity disappears, but it is a possible opportunity here for Logan Sargent. He is catching Bottas at a rate of knots, but he too will be too far behind at this reckoning. Now Magnussen, he's going to hold on to the DRS here, but he has lost a dramatic gap here to Alexander Albon. Ladies and gentlemen, my goodness gracious, could Kevin Magnussen have lost the DRS? He has! He's defending Nico Hulkenberg behind! Alex Albon is free of Kevin Magnussen behind! And Valtteri Bottas has given a similar goodbye to Logan Sargent, incredibly. Field really starting to spread out here at Miami Gardens and hold serve almost. It is as if the drivers know that the rain is coming and they are doing everything in their power to hold off and preserve tire, to stay on this track as long as they can. Rain threatening, potentially a 35% chance of precipitation in 2.5 minutes time, or roughly to 1.5 circuits of this track. We are getting close to the designated pit stop time for the soft tire, and yet it is potentially going to be a overuse of the tire for some of these soft tire teams if they want to actually be able to pull themselves ahead and not have an extra disastrous pit stop in here before they need the intermediate tires. Now, Sargent has used his battery extraordinarily well. He is going to hold with Valtteri Bottas, seeing an opportunity to get past him. Kevin Magnussen putting everything he can into his lap, but he still will not have DRS. Now, Sargent, He has pushed the battery well. He is sticking with Valtteri Bottas. He has got a nice jump off of that corner. And now it's looking like it's an opportunity for Logan Sargent to climb to P17. He has the DRS. He has the clear air. He has the ability to use his battery. And he is going to challenge Valtteri Bottas here going in to this lap. Valtteri will have no answer. Logan Sargent pushes off like a bat out of hell. And suddenly, Valtteri Bottas finds himself sitting in P18, and Logan Sargent has climbed forward yet again in this race. It's not much, but it is something. Now, Magnussen trying to threaten, trying to climb up into range once again on Alexander Albon. He may have gotten into DRS. I've actually sped up instead of looking at what I wanted to look at, which is the rear wing. He will not get the rear wing open at this time. Yes, no, he does not have DRS, but he is slowly but surely gaining on Alexander Albon. The tires have gone over 50% for the Williams. We are waiting for news in just 15 seconds on the weather pattern to find out whether or not it is going to be time for intermediates sooner rather than later. Magnussen has used all of his battery to try and stick with the Williams here. He may have climbed his way back up into DRS. And there will be rain in 4 minutes' time, ladies and gentlemen. There will be rain, but Kevin Magnussen is climbing.
Yeah, confirmed.
The big question now, Alexander Albon, will he be able to hold on to this position before the rain period, before the pit stops begin? The rain has finally entered the forecast, ladies and gentlemen, and it is up to these drivers to manage their stints as well as they can to get onto the right tire at the right time. Magnussen done a wonderful job, it must be said, in the past few laps to climb his way back into this race. He is right on the rear end of Alexander Albon. Albon will have a little bit of battery push here to bring himself forward on the back straight, trying to preserve that gap and have a little bit of defense here without using out the tires. He just may have done what he needed to do to hold Kevin Magnussen at bay, despite Magnussen having that DRS. It's a brilliant use of the energy by Alex Albon and the Williams team, and Magnussen will not be able to seriously challenge on this lap. Round about 2.5 minutes until the rain is expected to start here in Miami. It is looking like it will be a heavy downpour, and it will actually make the track rather wet rather quickly. But right now, Kevin Magnussen has fire in his eyes. He sees Alex Albon ahead. He wants to push himself up into that fight. He wants to push himself up into P11, but he is not going to be able to get past this time. Albon will deploy off of the corner and try to speed away in this last DRS zone, and he has gotten a nice little kick here off the corner.
The window is open.
Magnussen held behind, searching for answers, but you can see the sky is darkening here over Miami Gardens. The tint of the screen is going a little bit blue. The rain, it seems, is almost here. It will be here within about a lap's time if it is on tap for its forecasted window. Alex will have one last battery push here to continue and try to press himself forward in this race and away from Kevin Magnussen. He is taking it now. Magnussen may not stick with the DRS. It's going to be a very close run thing. He does have the wing open, but it is about a second gap. Even so, Alex Albon trying to make the most of what he has left in his tires, what he has left in this stint. It has been a brave and beautiful fight from the Williams here. Both cars have pushed these soft tires for everything that they are worth in this stint. Begging, doing the rain dance. We are 1 minute away, potentially, from rain hitting the circuit. Magnussen will not, he will have the DRS. He continues to hold on to the back of Alexander Albon, and it must be said he is rather closer this time around, but he will not be close enough to make a move here and he probably won't be close enough to make a move before the rain gets here. We are 30 seconds away from the expected rain window. Albon will have to go around one more time. Magnussen will have to go around one more time. It looks like Sargent also will have to go around one more time. The rain has begun. It has started to fall here at Miami Gardens. The dry track is steadily becoming wetter. It is time to attack on these tires. It is time to get ready to potentially come into the pits here for every team. The question is, how fast will the wetness hit the track? How fast will it be for the intermediate tires to become the fastest ones on track? Already through Sector 1, the rain is falling at a precipitous rate. Albon is going to try and hold on here with everything he has got.
Okay, reduce lifted coast.
Magnussen threatening. Magnussen wants the move, but he cannot find it. And we are going to pull into the pits. It is time. One more lap and we will be driving on a wet surface. It is time to jump the gun, get on the tires early, and to move these gentlemen into the pits. Alex Albon will try to hold on to this position for everything he is worth on the last dry straight of the first stint. He has gotten a nice jump and everybody is coming in. The pit stops are aplenty. It is time for everyone to get off of these tires and get on to the intermediates, and the field seems to know it.
There's a risk of rain coming. Copy.
Magnussen is in the pits. Albon is in the pits. The question now, will Albon be able to hold his position here? Magnussen and Hulkenberg both coming in. They could potentially block Albon here in the pit stop phase.
Pit entry.
Sargent is also in. We go to Magnussen. He is in the pits. Williams has gone into the pits. Magnussen is out. Albon is held. Albon is held. And Albon has lost his position to Kevin Magnussen in the pits through the selfishness of this game. And there's a pit stop issue for Nico Hulkenberg.
The Haas pit crew are all ready.
Haas giveth and Haas taketh away. Hulkenberg already had to wait an extra few seconds there because he was held up behind Kevin Magnussen. And it is a disaster for Nico Hulkenberg, who is tumbled down the field. In fact, Logan Sargent has come out here in P17. Albon has come out in P12. But they will be able to, crucially, if the weather predictions hold, burn through their tires as much as they want to through this stint. And Guan Yu Zhou, who is apparently sideways, also has a pit stop issue in that double stack.
Releasing the car.
Bad news for Haas, bad news for Alfa Romeo. Williams continues to hold in P12 and P17. It must be said, a bit tragic that the game released the Haas in front of me there. A bit of a cheat there by the game, but we will accept it because the only thing we can do is push forward. Came into the pits a full second ahead of him, but be that as it may, Albon will have the pace in these tires to run back at the field and try to gain that position back.
Noise to manage the tires.
Yeah, copy.
It is getting much wetter, much quicker here. The pace has already fallen off for everybody. Checo Perez, with a dramatic mistake, gets into the pits late. He will fall dramatically down from P1 all the way to P3. Albon just finding his way up towards Kevin Magnussen. Just finding a way to try and get within 1 second of the Danish driver. So we were doing okay. We hit the pit stop phase because the track is now damp, so we're on the intermediate tire. Unfortunately, in the pit stop phase, the game in its infinite wisdom let Kevin Magnussen pass us in the pits. So while we were stopped, he just got to breeze on by in the pit lane. So a little miffed about that, but we are fighting back for that P11. It's the name of the game, is to get back up there now. Just because the race wants to take it away from us doesn't mean we accept it. We are going to fight as hard as we can because we never say die here at Team Space. As you can see on the straights, we are actually managing to start to pull in that gap ever so slightly on Magnussen, but the tires are warm.
Back off.
Copy.
Tires are warm. We are going to deploy some battery on this lap instead of heating the tires up because I want to catch you, K-Mag. I want my spot back. Going to be hard to stick with him in this section. This is where we lose our time, especially in wet weather. And now the big question is how long it's actually going to stay wet, because already we're seeing the dampness go down. Did we all jump onto the intermediate tires prematurely? Remains to be seen, but what is not remaining to be seen is the way that we are scratching and clawing through natural pace our way back up to the Haas. And Alex Albon is going to burn the battery for what it's worth, and we are going to stay roughly within a second of K-Mag here and harvest for a lap. Meanwhile, Sargent's going to need to press a little bit less on his tires. The window of these things is actually a little suspect. There actually is a little bit of a lack of dampness on track, and we are all struggling to hold the heat in our tires a little bit, or rather struggling to keep the tires into a good temperature window. Now Magnussen just gets some magical pace there and takes off a half a second gap with no explanation. So we're going to go ahead and try to counteract that. Once again, the game being a little bit malfeasant with computer pace. But it looks like it's going to be a light rain. It might even be worth getting back onto a regular race tire if this rain continues to dissipate. If track conditions go back to dry, it will be better to run on a dry tire. Somehow Kevin Magnussen is allowed to get a second gap on me in the last laps, despite the fact that he's charging battery. The game has yet to explain to me why that is allowed, but we will sit here in P12 and we will do our work right now, preserving tires and preserving pace. We're going to try something wild with Logan Sargent, because P17 is P17. It is what it is. I'm going to pit him again, and I'm going to pit him for the medium tire. Because if the track is dry, he will surge ahead in this race. And if it doesn't work, he's still just P20. We tried something. And Logan Sargent is right in the right window to try this because the track has now gone to dry.
It's going to be fixed very soon.
Could Logan Sargent have just pulled off a blinder here on the rest of the field? It's going to get rainy again later in this race, but right now, Logan is going to have clear air to pull off something that might be a little genius.
And clear onto the exit,
The track is drying and Logan Sargent is the first one out on the right tires. And all of a sudden, this race has gotten very interesting from Logan's perspective. While Alexander Albon continues to lose, is like, I've now lost 4.5 seconds to Magnussen in a lap because this game is ridiculous. Logan Sargent is going to plow ahead in this race. And all of a sudden, the action is with driver number 2. You know what? It's going to be better to bring Albon in, too.
Alex will box this lap.
If we're not in the points, let's have some fun. Let's take a risk.
Box.
Yeah, roger.
It is not worth just languishing, complaining over paces. Let's do something proactive to catch the field. And all of the sudden...
Yeah, watch your white line and exit should be clear.
Manage tires.
Yeah.
Albon is going to come out here, and he's going to have to warm his tires behind a intermediate tire runner. But there is more pace in these tires. There is more pace in these tires than the intermediates. There's much more pace. I just gained 2/10 in one corner. And suddenly, this race has come to both of my boys. Track's staying in a damp phase right now. Ah, damn, the rain's picking up again.
Yep.
Not by much, though. This is the best tire to be on. Let's see here. I want to see that last lap for Sargent because it was a good one, I do believe. How did Sargent run a 142? Okay. So yeah, he is running decent laps here. I might have made a mistake though. I might have just ruined my race. But right now, it is sort of a half and half as to what the better tire is, and I needed to do something bold because I wasn't going to climb up to the points, so I needed to make a bold decision.
Focus and push.
That bold decision could pay dividends here, depending on how long it takes the track to be truly damp again. Exactly. Like, I've got to attempt something, you know? It could be that the rain ends up not being all that bad until that late phase and people lose a lot of time to us, but I might have also just screwed myself badly. Well, actually, I ran a 139, which is the fastest lap at around anyone in my race. So, it's not the worst idea to be on these tires right now. The problem is that number going up to 1 means that this will not pay off. But I could climb. We'll see. We'll see. I needed to try. It would not be a wild ride if we didn't do a couple of wild things ourselves as team principal. Exactly, Garrett. You know, whatever happens, happens. As you can see, we are climbing up and we are closing gaps, but at the moment, no, there are not any female Formula One racers. It's actually been like it's actually been quite a controversial subject. Is that like there are a lot of there is a W series, a women's Formula One series, or a women's Formula series as well, not Formula One. But in terms of women drivers who have climbed into the ranks of Formula One, I believe it's only happened once or twice, and it's been for all, like, you know, test sessions and things like that. It's not been a thing, unfortunately. It has been a very male-dominated sport. Yep, I think our brilliant plan has been foiled here a little bit. Oh, I mean, the sport is known. The sport has known some truly sexist people among its ranks and some truly sexist practices, like the grid girls, for example, which only disappeared about 10 years ago. So yeah, everyone's got a very checkered past on that subject, unfortunately. It's gotten a lot better, and one of the things that you see today that you never saw, you know, 10 years ago, is there is a marked increase of women behind the scenes in Formula One, working as engineers, working as training staff, working as mechanics. So women are making their way into the sport, and there are initiatives to get more women involved, but it is a slow and painstaking process, and there has been a lot of trial and error. All right, Logan. The crazy thing here is we really were climbing for a little bit, but yep, we're going to have to accept we're going to be the last two cars in this race, I think.
Box.
Let's bring Logan in. We tried it, but he's going to have to accept being lapped, and he's going to have to accept being back in this race, I think.
Watch out on pit entry CP3.
Yeah, I understand.
There's part of me that's so tempted to restart this race because I screwed it up, but I screwed it up. It is what it is. We thought we saw a window of opportunity, but it appears to have been some fool's gold. Yep, next time. Yeah, next race we will have a better race, I think.
Clear on pit exit, watch the white line. Clear on pit exit, watch the white line.
As it stands, I'm just going to have to attack the crap out of these tires with Logan Sargent and hope he does well.
We need more like on turn 4.
Copy.
And unfortunately, I think that also means we're going to need to bring Alex in this lap. Ah, well. This is a learning experience.
Box this lap.
Okay, box.
Well, I guess for us it's notorious. Miami is kind of notorious for being a bad track. Is in real life it doesn't engender a lot of close wheel-to-wheel racing. It kind of ends up being a single file procession through the race. So it's not nearly as entertaining as you would hope it would be. Well, at least we came out in P19 with Alex, or P18. We'll just move ahead in this race and do the best we can. Honestly, what would really help us, like, we're gonna really have to rely on some point at, like, if we get towards the end of the rain period and there's a safety car, that's the one thing that can save our race, because we can just pit early for a dry compound and maybe get lucky. But, like, other than that, this is done. I think we're done. Ah. I am sorry about that, folks. We tried as hard as we could. Tried to get clever with it, and it was not the right day to be clever. Tracks will be damped just about now, and DRS is going to get disengaged. And we should have just stayed on the enters. Ah, man. Good learning experience. Yep, track has changed back to damp. We goofed. For now, we'll just silently watch as Joe falls away from the back of us and we get to move forward on superior tires.
Manage these tires.
Got it.
Look after your tires.
Copy.
So you can increase the pace.
Copy.
Yeah, we'll just keep grinding this out.
Back off.
Yep, copy.
Okay, back off.
Copy.
Well, it's a good reminder of what happened in Bahrain when we were P17 and P20. You know, you're not always gonna. The thing about being a midfield team in F1 is that you don't have a lot of room for mistakes, and if you make them, you end up paying for them. It's a good lesson to learn here today. That's how we take a positive from something like this. Is we learn when we're too clever. We learned that we needed to upgrade the weather center and we didn't. We had the opportunity to do that and we did not. So that's egg on my face. And really, we just get better. We get better at Imola. You know, we get better at Monaco. We get better in Spain. You know, we've got good races for us coming up, I think. Especially Imola. Imola should be really good for Williams. But today in Miami, we are eating a little bit of crow. Because of how badly I've futzed this too, we might also end up getting lapped again. Because look, there's P1 right there. There's Max Verstappen running clear. As you can see, though, if you look at these gaps, like, not a particularly exciting race here at Miami Gardens today. There's not as much to talk about. Like, Baku was wheel-to-wheel action in both of the races. Like, I didn't get to catch my breath. Today we're just kind of cruising through Florida. Because basically, once it gets to here, about lap 46, 47, it'll start drying out quickly. So, I mean, realistically, what we're doing on this race is we're getting on the softs and we're just abusing them to the end. But with the just absurd gap, like look at this gap between Tsunoda and Magnussen right now, and I was holding constant between myself and Tsunoda. So Magnussen would have been like 9 seconds ahead of me at this point. I would not have caught him in the dry stint. So the max we were looking at today was in fact P12, I think, if I'm being honest with myself. As it is, I think we can maybe salvage a P16 out of it. I think that's definitely doable. I would love a safety car. I would love it if somebody had a wreck. Not my team. I've already spent money on more parts. That's actually a really good question. So what makes F1 more different than something like NASCAR? If you give me 2 seconds to refresh my water while we watch this, I will tell you that. 1 second. Okay, we're back. And it looks like, yeah, we're just continuing to hold our gaps. I'll go up on Albon for this. So, really, the differences between F1 and NASCAR are... I mean, I think first the important thing to mention with both is that they are is the ways that they are similar. Is both NASCAR and F1 have been leaders in the sport in pushing safety technology. Like a perfect example is F1 has innovated something for what is known as open wheel racing, or like where you basically just don't have a top on your car. This little bit of metal right here, you see this? This is referred to as the halo. And the halo is designed to deflect anything like barriers or tires, anything that could hit the driver in the head, and has saved numerous lives. And this innovation started right here in Formula One. So in that regard, like how in the same way that NASCAR, the stock cars have those fins that pop up off the hood of the roof if you to prevent you from rolling. This has the safety innovations in both sports are amazing. So that's what they have in common. In terms of the difference, they are very designed for different things. In F1, you are predominantly going on flat racetrack surfaces that are bumped or grooved, but that are more reminiscent of a road than anything else. A NASCAR track is a very highly technically designed banked circuit that the cars are calibrated for. So like an F1 car, like for instance, I'm on a street circuit this week. This would be like an F1 car racing on, most streets in most cities. Granted, you need fairly smooth pavement for them to be able to not, take off the very complex underfloors on these things due to like grates and like uneven pavement and stuff like that. But a NASCAR is a stock car is designed to go around in those ovals and adhere to a racing surface that is essentially in 3 dimensions. Like the idea is that you have to be able to go through in a stock car race at maximum throttle for as long as possible. You're really not braking all that much in a stock car race, if at all. Whereas with F1, it's all about racing precision. It's about how fast you can run a lap around a specific course, rather than how fast can you go flat out, period. So I would say that an F1 car would be markedly faster accelerating and at top speeds than a stock car, but stock cars are designed for tracks and designed for surfaces that F1 cars would be useless at. In terms of the builds of the cars, there's also a marked difference in the strength of the actual vehicle's parts. F1 cars are designed to be the most aerodynamically advanced vehicle on the road. Sprint cars are not, quite frankly. They're designed to be stock cars. Cars that can be released to the public as stock, that can be modified into racers, and that's derivative off of the roots of NASCAR, which are in bootlegging. In my home state, actually, is what happened is that during Prohibition, a bunch of bootleggers in North Carolina realized that the only way they were going to be able to successfully ply their trade was if they took their Chevys and their Fords and their Toyotas, not Toyota at the time, it'd have been Chevys and Fords, and souped them up and made them, as fast as possible to outrun the police. So NASCAR has its foundations in criminality, which is I find hilarious, whereas F1 really gets its start because the pride and joy of the British military during World War II was its Air Force, the British Royal Air Force, the RAF. And after World War II, you had a number of RAF engineers who, for lack of a better description, were just lads. They wanted to, but they weren't working in, the aviation industry because there just wasn't the demand. Even with commercial aviation starting to boom, there just wasn't the demand in Britain for physically making planes. So a lot of World War II aviation engineers became some of the first F1 engineers and got into the racing scene. So the reason that F1 has such a strong basis and grounding in aerodynamics is that it has always attracted some of the world's best engineers to the sport. It's quite remarkable in that regard.
Okay, Alex, we can start reducing lift and coast.
Yes, copy.
to manage tyres short term.
Copy.
But yeah, they're easily the two most popular racing series on the planet, bar nothing. You know, like they are monuments. They're monuments to racing, but they have very, very different upbringings. You know, they are the they're not even they're like hardly even siblings. Even though you've had, I mean, people have gone from F1 to go race in NASCAR and vice versa. One of the most famous examples is former Williams driver, actually, Juan Pablo Montoya, who was a highly acclaimed Formula One driver in the early and mid-thousands, and then went seamlessly from F1 in around 2006-2007 to racing in NASCAR for the rest of his career. Even though these days, the changeover you see between race series is less often between F1 and NASCAR, and it's a lot of F1 drivers go to IndyCar. Because of, I think, the similarity of it being open wheel single-seater racing, because of, I think, the wheel-to-wheel racing and what you can get away with is a little bit more in IndyCar. But that's where you see the overlap now. And really, those are probably, I'd say those are the three biggest series on the planet. At one time, rallying, which is insane people driving cars very fast in the woods with trees right next to them, that at one point in the 80s was the most popular racing series in the world, because the fight between Audi and the Italian car maker Lancia was mythic in the early 80s. But I would say rallying nowadays is even less regarded than endurance racing. And endurance racing is you go to a track with a team of drivers and one car, and you and your team of drivers will drive for 12 hours straight or 24 hours straight. And it's all about how many laps you do and your pace and all of that. Oh yeah, and of course, yeah, IMSA, drag racing is its own, drag racing is a whole separate thing besides. Because drag racing is, how fast can I get something to go over the course of a quarter mile? What you'll find is, actually, it's difficult in like the sense that rocketry is difficult, but it's different than, it's very different than engineering a vehicle. Because, drag racers are meant to go a quarter mile and then never work again, basically. Like, they fall apart, like, they fall apart almost immediately. Whereas, some of the P1 cars for endurance racing, the top sort of level of endurance racing, those are designed to quite literally go around a track, you know, 300 times to 500 times over the course of 12 to 24 hours with minimal services and only like pit stops for wheel and driver changes. It's astonishing how much variance there is in vehicular engineering. It's a fascinating subject in that regard, in my opinion. Meanwhile, correct me if I'm wrong, but while we're still not quite in the range of getting lapped by Max Verstappen, even though he is threatening, we've caught up to Valtteri Bottas with Alex. So, little victories. Little victories. That and the fact that I'm guaranteeing I'm the first person out on the friggin' soft tires when I can get out. But hey, we made progress forward in this race. Look at that. Now all that remains is to pass him and embarrass him.
Close the gap.
We never give up, and P17 is right there for the taking, so we are back in momentarily with the commentary mode. Because Alex Albon smells blood. And I do believe we're going to engineer this pass.
So having to build a gap with temperature.
Oh, couldn't quite get it there, but we're going to get a nice kick off this corner. Go for it, Alex. Go for it. Jump in that hole. Jump in that hole. Ah! He wouldn't go for the move.
You can afford to drop back.
And now, of course, the danger is that we're going to have to slow down to get lapped. Alex is on high aggression here, though, so he is allowed to search for that gap.
Close the gap if you can.
Ah, the tires are off. Damn. If it's going to come, it's going to have to come at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, we continue to look behind. Verstappen is almost within a second. That's great.
Okay, easy overtake.
We're going to use the deploy here to get away. All right, Alex. It's time to go.
Try and get the temps back under control. Yeah.
Oh, Alex, why did you pull it alongside, you loser? You absolute loser. Ugh. He had the gap, and he's like, nope. Disappointment. Disappointment in that lack of racecraft there by Alex. I know we're in P18 and P20, and I know that it's not been a fun race for either of you, but that is poor. That is absolutely poor racing. I expect better from you, Alex.
Start to close in now.
He's pushed up again. You better do it this time, Alex. You're faster than this Alfa Romeo. You're a better car than this Alfa Romeo. It is time you proved that. Time you proved that by shoving your nose in there and getting ahead at this corner. Good job, Alex. Good job, Alex. That is what I wanted to see from you all race. Fantastic work. It took an absurd amount of temperature out of the tire, but we got past him finally. It is at P17, and he has to pull over to get Verstappen past him. We're going to slow down because we got to do the same thing too, but we're going to get lapped at a better spot.
Okay, copy.
So Alex expecting
It is
to
far,
drive.
far, far better for us to be lapped right here. Or in Sector 1, I guess we're going to get lapped, rather than on that back straight. Because look at how much time Valtteri's already lost to us. It's not what you ever like to see. But we're very close to having to just accept it. I am sorry if the reverse angle is making anyone feel a little nauseous. Alright, here comes the pass. Let him by. Or not. I guess we're not letting him by. Instead, we're holding up the race leader, which is very illegal in racing. Well, now we'd be getting what are known as the blue flags. So if you're a lapped runner at F1 and the leader's coming up behind you, you have the ability to see 3 blue flags and get out of their way before you receive a penalty. So we've received 2 blue flags. There's our third. Let him by. Good job. Now he goes off to catch Oscar Piastri, and we refocus in the cockpit. The sun is coming out, and it's coming out quickly. So now we got to start really thinking about burning this tire to hell and getting onto the softs in a short order. So let's do that. I think for a lot of drivers, the blue flag system exists so that you can find, as the lapped runner, a convenient place to pull over. Now, in the world of video gaming, because this is all run off of programming, this chooses some of the worst points on the track to pull over and let people by for blue flags. But in real life, you'd see, like, I would hold ahead here on all of this straight. Actually, hang on 2 seconds. You have the power to get past Piastri here. Do it. Do it. Alex Albon is alongside. He's through. A lapped car has just gotten me P16. Let's do this. I literally snuck that because he had to slow down on the straight to get lapped by Verstappen. That was a beautiful pass. But that's why you wait for blue flags at a good location for you rather than for your opponent. Because him pulling over in the middle of a large, long straight and slowing down meant I could just keep all of the speed I gathered on that straight and just zip past him, even if he was able to accelerate back up again. Just, it completely ruined Piastri's race right there. And it was wonderful for me. And now you can see he has to get back over again because the Ferrari is coming up, but because we were so quick, we don't get lapped ahead of Piastri again, and now we get to keep a little bit of a gap over him because once again, he pulled over at the wrong spot. And it's going to be very close, but we're 1 or 2 laps away from going back onto the softs. But I am using this tire for everything it is worth and then some. We do not need all of this pace. Burning up towards De Vries, we could still have a P15 in the cards. As it is, this will not be as bad of a race as Bahrain because we have caught all the way back up to P16. And meanwhile, Sargent has caught up to Guan Yu Zhou. How about that? So we might have flubbed this a little bit, but we're showing our pace here late. We're showing what the building blocks are going to be and where we can improve once we get to Imola. I love it. I love this fight back. The tires are severely overheating. I could care less, boys. Just run your race. And run a good one. And the Ferrari is not close enough to make us get lapped. We might stay ahead. And I think it is next lap we are going to officially come in. It is time to get onto a fresh pair of soft tires.
So box this lap.
As for Logan, it's time to get on those right now. So we go back to Logan Sargent. This time, a novel tire strategy could pay off for us. This time, coming in a lap early could actually pay dividends for Logan Sargent. It's got to be a good pit stop, though. Joe will continue on for another lap. Logan is in the pits. Albon coming in next lap.
Copy.
And we are going to, by the time Logan's out of the pits, this track will be dry. Logan is in at the perfect time, and George Russell has followed suit. And all of a sudden, look at me, Ma, I'm starting to climb.
Watch out, white line.
And all of a sudden, this race has really opened up. Albon has managed to hold on to Max Verstappen and not get lapped here. I've got 12 seconds on Piastri, and I'm only 3 seconds behind Nick De Vries. All of a sudden, this race has come alive in the latter stages.
Just be wary the pit entry is slippery.
Yep.
Now, we need a good pit stop from Alexander Albon here. Piastri behind is our real target. There's De Vries right there behind me. He is on his way out of the pits. Albon has a pit stop error. No, he just held for the Red Bull. Never mind. We get out in good time. That's a good pit stop. I take back my last comment. It is time to be aggressive on those tires for all that they are worth, Logan.
Because a bit tire management.
Copy.
Now, the real battle begins. Everybody else coming into the pits. There's Guan Yu Zhou in the pits right now. Logan Sargent is going to have an opportunity to get past him. He's passed him with ease. That is P19 for Logan Sargent. It will not be last on track. It will not be last on track. That is a saving grace, if ever there was one. Way to go, Logan. And all of a sudden, Alex Albon is right on Nick De Vries' tail. That's a good acceleration there. He's in DRS on De Vries. Go aggressive to stick with him here.
Okay, happy to manage tyre short term.
Copy.
And now here it comes. This is going to be the moment for Alex against De Vries. Getting clear air, get alongside, and Alex, that pass is yours. Bang. Goodbye, Mr. De Vries. No? Oh, I see you want to play a little bit. You think you're somebody.
Let's go push.
Copy.
Get the hints. Now the big thing here is he can only fight me back with DRS. He is not as quick as I am. And he proved it right there.
He can afford to drop back.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We've sealed off Nick De Vries and now we lose him.
We'll start the lifting post now.
Start Michael.
Copy.
Oh, he's going to push through this because the game is a dick.
Push to close this gap.
Suddenly the AlphaTauri is a Red Bull. Oh, hello, Totally. No worries. We have had an interesting race. We're in P15 and P19. We started in P12 and P19. Really haven't. We tried some cleverness in a pit stop phase because it got rainy, but now we're all back on the best tires imaginable. We're just running a madcap dash where it's 10 laps to the end of the line, 10 laps to the end at the line. So we are in the last throes of our 5th Grand Prix of the year. Totally, we are happy to have you in attendance. Enjoying ourselves thoroughly here. Not our best race we've had as part of Team Williams, but we have fought our hearts out here, and that's all that anyone can ever ask for. Now, Albon, he is going to be threatening towards Lando Norris, but De Vries is still trying to come up from behind. He does not have the speed, and he does not have the skill to get alongside Albon there. Albon stays ahead. Now, Alex is going to cool the tires a little bit, try to continue to make up that gap to Lando Norris. Oh, God. The game's doing it again. Nope. Nope, I'm sorry, game. Fuck you. I'm your better. You do not deserve that spot. I'm taking it back. Don't you dare.
Let's reduce lifting coast.
See, when you're racing cars that you are clearly your superior than, and they get sudden speed boosts like that, don't tolerate it. Don't tolerate the game's bullshit because it doesn't deserve it. Bye-bye, De Vries, you moron. Enjoy getting lapped and having to slow down. We can breathe.
We need to get into some lift and coast.
All right. That slight rage aside, we are doing quite well here. We're going to have to let this Ferrari pass in short order, but... Oh, don't you dare! Oh no, we're gonna get passed again because the game just fucked me. Game just fucked me horribly.
I think we can reduce lifting coast.
Never mind. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. I just gotta keep an eye out for the game being a little cheaty here with Nick De Vries. We gotta hold through this DRS range, and then we should be okay to actually rest the tires in the engine. Yeah, okay, the game's just not going to randomly let us stick his nose up in there again. Okay, cool. We are all set. All I want to do is make sure we can hold that gap. As long as we can hold him back, we can get our way up towards Norris, which is really the aim of the game here. If we can get a P14 at the end of our race, I think that for all of the foibles we've had this weekend and all of the silly decisions we have made, I think a P14 would be absolutely fine. But with the level at which we're getting lapped right now, it's becoming very, very hard to know where I'm going to actually be able to push in this race. Can you let him by in this section, please? Like, I'd love it if you just let him by here. Let him by. Let him by. Let him by. You've got blue flags. You've got blue flags. You've got blue flags. Let him by. 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 Thank you. Now, we can go without getting slowed down on the main friggin' straight. Never mind, we're getting slowed down on the main straight anyway. Because this game is feeble and stupid, and it will not actually allow my drivers to figure out how to race the way that they want to. And now watch this, Nick De Vries is going to get passed because the game isn't... Oh no, I get my DRS. Never mind. I get DRS, he doesn't. That just saved my ass. Okay, no more lapped runners. No, there's another Mercedes, or sorry, a Ferrari coming. Damn it. We're almost there. We're almost home free. I almost can stop doing all of this stupid pushing that is absolutely cost me in this race and cost me this tire. Alright. Okay. I'm sorry. I would normally like to be more into commentary right now, but I'm a bit miffed by the way the lapped cars have allowed this battle to transpire. As it stands, we are just trying to push out 2.8 seconds out of this tire. Our tire is now back in range, so we can actually do some pushing. Logan Sargent's race is done. He's not making up 17 seconds in 7 laps. But we do still have an opportunity here to really push with Alexander Albon and really try to see if we can't catch Lando. As it is, we're within a second of Lando. And we're going to have DRS on him going into this next straight. It is getting close here. The McLaren has run a difficult race, it must be said. The team has had as tough a time as Williams has in P14 and P17. But if we can take this P14 off of them, it's going to feel very sweet indeed.
Yeah. Deploy.
Albon is threatening. He's got the DRS on Norris. He's starting to leave De Vries in his dust a little bit. But it's not going to be enough to get past on this particular stretch. He will push from the corner, though. Albon has got the right amount of space. He's got battery to stay with the McLaren. He has moved alongside. He has used all the battery for all it is worth. And in the end, it must be said, it is a relatively easy pass for Alexander Albon. And he has taken P14 off of Lando Norris. Sensational move by the Williams driver. but he must hold on to it. Norris is going to try and fight back here.
Reduce the lifting.
Norris is using a little bit of pace here to try and stick with Alexander Albon. Albon is going to have to push this tire for all he can in order to keep it ahead going into the technical part of the second sector. Yes, it is a very good thing. We're not going to score points today because we're not in the top 10, so it's all about pride. It is all about race position and keeping that blue car in front of this orange car. But we go again. It will be another fraught straight to see whether or not Lando Norris can be held behind. He used a bit of a battery boost, and he has maintained the gap to Albon. Now, he has got the wing open. He is gaining ever so slightly, but the sheer pace of that Williams is holding the McLaren behind. Albon will hold serve through the corner. It's a nice launch. And will stay for right now in P14, and he will cool his tires back into the window. It is 6 laps to go at the line. Actually 5 because we've been lapped. So it's only 5 laps for us. Lap 56 is our final lap. Norris really pushing his guts out to try and stay with us here.
Go push.
We're going to use a little bit of battery here to make sure he can't get that extra push on this lap. Norris is about a second behind at this juncture. He is going to hold DRS here, but it must be said Albon is pushing away quite admirably here back towards the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. Meanwhile, Sargent we're just bringing home safely in P19. We don't want to wreck any of his car parts. Now, on to the back straight. Norris will just hold on to that gap, but it must be said the Williams is running like a bat out of hell at this juncture. Norris does in fact get his wing open. He may be able to hold DRS. We do not know. It's a good launch from Albon. Norris is just going to hold on here, I think, to the DRS. Yes, he is. But he is about a second behind, and Alex is really, really pushing these tires. Oh, no, you were right. It is 6 laps to go. Meanwhile, Norris has fallen out of DRS range. The Williams is officially clear into P14. If he can just push for a little longer, if he can just get a little bit more distance from Lando Norris, then his race will be truly over, and P14 and P19 will be locked in. It will not be points like in Baku with Albon's miraculous P8, but it will be a very well-run final stint by the Thai driver to represent Williams as well as we know that he can. He has given his all here today in Miami. Have to say, his race principal, his team principal, me, let him down with an attempted silly strategy, but nevertheless, he only lost about 2 spots when all is said and done, even though it does account for about 30 seconds of time lost because of the extra pit stops. Nevertheless, Albon endeavors ever forward. He is going to hold on to this P14 and continue to drag himself forward in this race. A masterful job here by Alex Albon to recover from what could have been tragic in P17.
How many laps do we have?
5 laps to go.
Gotta say, totally right. We were in kind of, our race was basically over before you showed up. We were really in like a we were kind of stuck in a rut. You know, we had a rough race. We tried to get clever during the rainy phase with extra pit stops, and it just did not work for us. But you show up, and we got 2 passes worked out in the span of like 5 minutes to get up to P14. The fans of Team Space proving to be its good luck charms. Yeah, that's the rule. Whoever we pass, we get to talk to about Kingdom Hearts lore. And that has sped the entire field up. He's gonna make me take Goofy seriously as an action star. Run! Oh, man. Well, what a race. We got 3 laps to go at the line. It could have gone better. It could have gone much worse today.
4 to go.
We're going to go aggressive on the tires just to celebrate how well we ran in this race and just to kill the tire off, but we really, you know, it was looking like, you know, we qualified P12 and P19. It was looking like it was going to be a rough weekend no matter what. We took a gamble to try and see if we could sneak into the points by doing something aberrant, but, you know, sometimes you got to experiment and you got to fall flat on your face. And we did that a little bit today, but we have made the most of it by climbing back up into contention here today. And I do believe, because only Alpine is going to score here, Haas will not score points. AlphaTauri and McLaren and Alfa Romeo will not score points. We will hold on to and not lose any ground in P6 in the Constructors' Championship. So we've done well to hold serve. And I believe Albon will hold his position in the driver's standings as well. So, in terms of like, in F1, when you're in the midfield and you have a bad race, the best thing that can happen for you is that none of your competitors score against you. And that's what's happened today. We've had a rough race, but so has everybody else we've been competing with. Although, K-Mag is threatening on the back end of Gasly. It has to be said.
3 laps to go.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little bit dangerous. As we flip up here to the fight for the final point here, Gasly is really having to hold Kevin Magnussen off on the last lap and a half here. Or last 2 laps, I should say. We're sort of, you know, in our no man's lands. We've run our race, but this is engrossing right here because Haas may yet get a point on us. The good news is that as an F1 driver, your wrists are literally tied in for your own safety so that in a car crash your arm can't come up and punch you out in your own face. So you would not be able to hand that PowerPoint to anybody on the racetrack. I feel comfortable knowing that you're restrained in this scenario. But not so restrained as Kevin Magnussen. He's fighting for everything he's got to try and steal this final point off of Alpine. And Verstappen has gotten to the final lap. So we have one more time around the sun for our boys. Instead of following this fight, let's make the most of it. And look at this. Albon is unlapping himself. Alexander Albon has unlapped himself. I don't know why. I don't think there's no way he makes up the 4 seconds to Nico Hulkenberg. But we just unlapped ourselves. Which you're allowed to do in racing, but then, crucially, you have to continue forward at a rapid enough pace to justify that unlapping. And we're just not doing that. We're actually having a wheel-to-wheel race here with Sergio Perez, who, again, had lapped us. Yeah, there you go, Albon. You had your fun. You're going to keep fighting this. Alright, sure. I guess so. was no reason for any of that fight back, but it was all for pride. A tough race today, but at the end of the day, we make up dramatic pace back to the Haas cars. Only going to finish about 3.5 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg.
Today's winner.
And Albon will come across in P14. It's an okay recovery drive. It's not what we wanted, but it's what we got. Now, we refocus on the last couple of battles we need to pay attention to. For one, Sargent is going to come across the line in P19. Again, not the race we wanted from him. A very tough drive for the American at one of his 3 home races across the season. But sometimes you have those tough drives in Formula 1. You have to roll with those punches, and we roll with them as we come across the line in P19 with Logan Sargent. And Kevin Magnussen will not catch.
That's the checker. Typical race. It's part-time official will guide you.
And a beautiful race by both the boys. Meanwhile, yep, K-Mag is going to be very far behind the points. And so Williams will not lose any ground in the drivers' or constructors' titles. We've maintained P6, and Albon holds, I believe it's either P11 or P10 in the drivers' title standings. A good race through a rough time. That's exactly right,
I'll
Garrus.
be honest now, it'd take a real optimist to find anything good about Alex Albon's race.
And I am a real optimist. Hey, we got P14 with 2 extra pit stops. Just 2 extra pit stops on top of everybody else, and we still ran like the Dickens all the way back up to P14. That's worth being proud of. You know, excuse me commentary, but I'm willing to be optimistic because it was my mistake. Not his, mine. Ugh, what a race.
Sweaty Miami Grand Prix. I think this is as good a time as any.
One day we will be up on that podium on this stream. Mark my words. It'll be a while from now, but we will get up to that podium.
Now, Karun, no doubt there'll be a lot for the teams to process after that race. But how do you think the Williams team are feeling?
Yeah, there's a lot for us to go through. There's a lot for us to work on. But I got faith in this team.
And there's quite a bit of work to be done, but they'll be well aware of that.
Oh, man.
Our weekend in Miami now draws to a close.
Now the teams will be looking ahead to Imola, where the season progresses with the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Get ready for some fierce competition.
And that's right. Next time we go racing, I think we've got a lot better prospects in the off because we will be going to Imola to race at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And that is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to show you guys that on Friday. We go racing yet again. And Imola is a storied track. It is one of the most famous tracks in the world. We're going to do everything we can. Yep, Alex holds his P11. Stays exactly where he was in the driver's title. Nico Hulkenberg and Kevin Magnussen do not gain. And right there, that juicy P6 still belongs to Williams. It still belongs to Team Space. And we had 2 of the better pit stops today. So while Mercedes does pass us in the pit stop rankings, we still showed out very, very well. And look at that. Most teams had 2 stops today. We had 4. And we still got up there. And yes, the track is in Italy, although it used to be for the longest time because Imola is very near the microstate of San Marino. It used to be known as the San Marino Grand Prix. But since it's come back on the calendar, it's now known as the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix for the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, I believe is the explanation. And hey, we made a cool $3 million off of that because we hit our race targets even with a bad race. And we didn't have to pay out any bonuses because we didn't do too good. So we made $3 million by finishing P14 and P19. I will take that. And the side pods are done. Fantastic. So we will go racing in just about 10 short days in game time. We are headed to Italy, and then immediately afterwards we're headed to Monaco. So we've got some big races coming up on the calendar. But that is for next time. For now, we're back at the factory after a mixed race weekend, but one that we are thrilled to have run. I am thrilled to have continued this series. The viewer count is making its way up. The fans of Team Space are starting to show up in greater numbers. It is always such a pleasure to do these Grand Prix. We are onward and upward at every single second. So we are going to show out at Imola. We're going to show what this team is all about. And I will fix my mod bot before Friday so that you can actually leave some caps in there. But for now, BK, it doesn't look like she's quite gotten on yet, so I will need to raid somebody else for right now. So why don't we go say hello to our friends over at OS Operating System. It is where the VI Potato works. It is where BK used to work in New York. They're a wonderful gaming venue. Looks like they're doing a little bit of Exoprimal as well. So I'm more than happy to drop you off with them. But thank you guys so much for being here. Of course, tomorrow we will be back on. I think I am going to do some Red Dead 2. I'm not entirely certain on that just yet. But my Red Dead 2 day is usually Tuesday, so I'm going to try and do that. And then the basic schedule we've been on for October continues. Hitman on Wednesdays, Ace Combat on Thursdays, and then the Emiliana Romagna Grand Prix on Friday. So lots of good stuff coming on stream. Yes, there is a Red Dead 2 day because I am trying to get to 100% on stream. So it's a big quest. It's my white whale in gaming, but we are chasing it. But that is for tomorrow. For now, what remains is for me to launch this raid and for me to say goodbye to all of you and to thank you so much for being a part of this stream today. We will have better Grand Prix in the future. We've had worse ones in this season. There's a lot for us to learn as we continue to apply ourselves here at Team Williams, at Team Space. But we will be back and we will be conquering the Imola Grand Prix on Friday. Until then, everybody, I will see you very soon. Space out.
Shield break!